Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Vish and welcome to my quarterly TBR. So for 2022, I'm trying this new thing where I'm not doing monthly TBRs, but I'm doing quarterly TBRs instead because I just need to let my mood reader out. So for this TBR, it's going to be January, February, and March. And I already do have quite a few priority books, but for this quarterly TBR, I thought I will do Roll the Dice, which is a TBR game that Jessie from Jessie May has been doing for years now. And I asked her if I could do it, and she obviously said yes because she's a good friend of mine. So I'm excited to do a round of Roll the Dice so I can see what books I'm going to be reading for the next 3 months. I'm gonna do 10 rolls so I at least have the option to mood read around these 10 rolls, if you know what I mean. I don't think I'll be able to get to all 10 books, but I have the options, which is cool. If you don't know what Roll the Dice is, you basically just have 12 books on your list. It can be in categories or it can just be randomly 12 books, and then you roll the dice, and whatever number it lands on, you read that book, and then you replace that book with a different one. Simple as that. Mine will be categorized in different genres or different things. You'll see what I mean. But first, let's go through my priority TBR for the first 3 months, and then we'll get into Roll the Dice. So for the first 3 months of the year, I will be reading the Daughter of Smoke and Bone trilogy because it is the channel pick for January, February, and March. We're going to be reading this wonderful trilogy, which I have not read, but a lot of people have said it's good. And my co-hosts for this is Joanna and Ali, and I'm really excited for us to read this and do live shows. Live show dates TBD, but yeah, I don't know much about this, but I know there's angels, demons, portals, and I am hyped to find out what the story is about. The next 2 books I have to get to is the Dreamblood Duology by Anki Jemison. So these ones were actually November and December picked for the channel buddy read, but I was in a massive reading slump and I just could not get through this. But Erin from Booked and Busy kindly asked me if I want to do a read along for these, and I thought, look at that, I've been given a second chance. These have been given a second chance, so I said yes. I'm going to be reading these 2, and I think she's going to do live shows, which I will let you guys know via Instagram or my community tab, whichever ones, because I feel really bad canceling these live shows, but I just could not get through, and I want to give these 2 books a chance. So here we are. Again, really don't know much about these, but I know it's an adult fantasy series that has to do with dream magic. There's a lot of politics involved in this. Yeah, I'm really pumped. I read the first 50 pages of The Killing Moon and I'm intrigued about the world. It's very expansive. It's very Middle Eastern and the dream magic is very interesting and I want to learn more about it. Also, there's a lot of food descriptions in these and they're delicious. The next 2 books is the first 2 books of the Green Rider series by Kristen Britton. So we have Green Rider and then First Rider's Call, which is like here, and I don't want to move that, so it's gonna stay there. So if you've been following me for a little bit, me, Abby, and Sam have been buddy reading the Poison Study series by Mariah B. Snyder. We finished that. Well, they finished that. I have not finished my reread, but besides the point, we're going to be doing another buddy read next year and we're going to be reading the Green Rider series. I think we're doing a book every other month, which is much more manageable because as the series goes on, it's thick. I don't know if you can see that, but it's thicker than this. So for January and March, we'll be reading Green Rider and The First Rider's Call. So in this world, Green Riders are legendary royal messengers. And our main character, Kerrigan, comes upon this dying Green Rider who's trying to send a life or death message to the King Zachary? Yeah, King Zachary. And Kerrigan takes it upon herself to try and carry on the Green Rider's mission, and before the Green Rider sadly dies, he warns her about the Shadow Man. Certainly not this guy, but that's what I'm picturing. But Shadow Man, I am intrigued. Also, I really love this cover. It's just because of the horse and the wings. I really hope this is actually an animal in here because that would be very cool. I'm not sure if this is adult or YA just yet, but I will let you know as I read this book. I feel like it's adult. Next up is another 2 books. But the first one is House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. This is the first book to a Crescent City series. I am going to be rereading this in anticipation for the release of House of Sky and Breath by Sarah J. Maas. I barely remember House of Earth and Blood. I just read it really quickly. All I know, there's a slow burn romance, a murder mystery, and of course Sarah J. Maas does a really good job in talking about mental health, drug abuse. It's dark shit. But this is her first adult labeled fantasy. It's a very interesting and complex world, but there's a lot of info dump in the beginning. Don't really remember a lot of it because of that. So I'm excited to go into this a second time and see what I think. And where this one ends, I'm not sure what House of Sky and Breath is going to be about. I never really looked into it because even this one, the synopsis kind of spoils the first 150 pages or 50 pages of the book, and I don't want to do that again. So I'm not reading the synopsis for Sky and Breath. And with Sarah J. Maas, she is notorious for switching our main love interest. I'm scared, but I'm also intrigued to see what happens. Next up, we have The Unbroken by C.L. Clark. This is the January Shell Space pick. I am going to be the host for that month, and my co-host will be the wonderful Christine from the Romies Digest. So as you know, Jessie May, same person who does Roll the Dice. She started Shell Space. Obviously, she just had her baby with Life. She stepped away from a bit. Alan took over. Alan's also a busy man, so we're now delegating between Alan, Abby, Jessie from the Bookish Mom, and me. We're just gonna be rotating throughout, hopefully, I think the year, I'm not sure, but that's the deal so far. And January is my month, and we're gonna be reading The Unbroken. I'm really excited. This is the first book to a new adult fantasy series, the first book to the Magic of the Lost. I love how Orbit just puts the series name on there. Good job. We have 2 perspectives in this book, and each of them are on the opposite sides of a rebellion. So we have Terrain, who's a soldier stolen as a child to raise and kill for the Empire, and now she's being sent to stop this rebellion. And then we have Luca, who is trying to stop this rebellion from going any further. She is still on the rebellion side, and she's trying to recapture the throne. This is also sapphic. I'm excited, and it's going to be a lot of politics and war. It's going to be great. I know Angela from Literature Science Alliance really loves this. She and I has very similar tastes when it comes to political fantasy, so we're good there. Last but certainly not least, it's Jade Legacy by Fonda Lee. I know what you're thinking. Vish, isn't this like your most anticipated book of 2021? Why, yes. Yes, it is. As I said before, I was in a massive reading slump in November and December, so I have been a hard time picking up books, especially dense fantasy books. And I also have this thing where I know if I'm going to love something and I know I'm gonna cry, I put it off. It's really weird, something that I do and I really hate because I know I'm gonna love this and I want to read it, but I'm scared at the same time. If you don't know, this is the 3rd book in the Greenbone saga. We're following this clan called the No Peak Clan, who is one of 2 clans in the world of Janloon, and these 2 clans control the production and distribution of jade, which is a not magical substance but a magical gem that enhances a Greenbone's ability to fight. There's a lot of politics in here, a lot of honor, a lot of family and fighting and drama, and I love this with my whole heart. Okay, those are the priority books that I have to read in the next 3 months, so let's see what books I will be mood reading when we roll the dice.
I got my head out the sunroof, I'm blasting our favorite tunes. I only got one thing on my mind. You got me stuck on the thought of you. You're making me feel brand new. You're more than a sunshine in my eyes. You got those pretty eyes in your head, you know it. You got me dancing in my bed, so let me show it. You are exactly what I want, kinda cool and kinda not. Wanna give myself to you. Yeah, we're driving down the freeway at night. I only got one thing in the back of my mind. I'm feeling like this might be my time to shine with you, with you, with you. I got my head out the sunroof, I'm blasting our favorite tunes. I only got one thing on my mind. You got me stuck on the thought of you. You're making me feel brand new. driving down the freeway at night. I only got one thing in the back of my mind. I'm feeling like this might be my time to shine with you, with you, with you. I got my head out the sunroof, I'm blasting our favorite tunes. I only got one thing on my mind. You got me stuck on the thought of you. You're making me feel brand new. You're more than
Okay, so that was actually pretty fun. I still had like control as to what books go on that list, but still like books that I really want to read. So I'm excited. Like, it seems like a really cool stack of possibility, as Jessie from the Bookish Mom would say. Okay, let's just go through them really quickly. So the first one that came up was Havenfall by Sarah Holland. I actually had this arc. I've been trying to get through my arcs. Some of them are from 2020, like this one. I know I'm horrible, but I'm trying to get through them. So I'm starting with the oldest ones to the latest. So this is one of them. So we have Havenfall by Sarah Holland. Don't know anything really about this. I just know it takes place on, like, look at that. There's a face on there. I don't know if you can see, but it's a face, and the kingdom's on there, and there's 3 different kingdoms, and they're all on the brink of war. It's short. I think I'm going to enjoy this. I hope so. We follow our main character Maddie, who has to protect the fragile alliance between the 3 kingdoms, which is Byron, Fjordenkill, and Solaria. Makes me think of the Winx Club. I think the orange one, the one with the sun, I think she comes from Solaria. That was a bit of a sidetrack. Anyway. Next book. The next one is Beast of Prey by Iona Gray. If you haven't, that always trips me up. It rhymes. Anyway, if you haven't seen, I posted my 10 books I want to read in 2022. This is on it. And we follow 2 main characters, Kofi and Ekon. And Kofi is a zookeeper that takes care of this night zoo. And one day she releases this dangerous animal and it goes gallivanting through the town. And Ekon is a elite warrior, like his father and brother before him. And Ekon and Kofi cross paths and they have to go to this greater jungle to track down this dangerous animal, and things happen. Like, this greater jungle apparently has like dangerous magic and dangerous creatures. I didn't know I needed this book because hello, animals, dangerous creatures. I am so excited to read this. I'm so glad it's the first book of a series, and I really hope I love this so I can continue on with the series. The next book is Small Favors by Erin A. Craig. This is her second book, I believe. I think her first book was House of Salt and Sorrows, which I think I have. Oh, you can't see, it's way up there. But I read House of Salt and Sorrows I think 2 years ago now, and I really liked it. It was very spooky, it was very atmospheric. It was a 12 dancing princesses retelling. I loved the atmosphere in that book, and it was really spooky, really scary, and I just think it's going to be the same. I really like her writing. I'm not sure what this is about. I mean, there's honey and there's bees, and apparently there is an impenetrable forest, and there's monstrous creatures in the forest which early settlers fought off to keep them away from the town. Our main character finds herself in a race against time to stop Amity Falls, her family, and the boy she loves from going up in flames. Sounds really good, and I cannot wait to re-experience the atmospheric writing that Erin A. Craig has. Next we have Gods and Monsters by Shelby Maherin. This is the 3rd book to the Serpent and Dove series. I've been trying to finish the series. I read Blood and Honey in October, I believe, or September. I'm not really sure. I can't really remember. Blood and Honey was really such a disappointment, to be honest. I really thought it was just there to exist as a filler book. Normally, I love book 2 in series, but that one was truly the epitome of filler book, and I think it's because it was originally going to be a duology, but she extended it to a trilogy, and yeah, like the character motivations were off. There was angst for no reason. It was just there to be there. So I really hope the 3rd book is better. I know Sophia from Sophia's Thoughts, she read it. She thinks it does get better, so I have hope for this. So if you don't know, Serpent and Dove is following Lou and Reed. Lou is a witch in hiding and Reed is a witch hunter, and due to weird circumstances they have to get married to save face. Again, magic, convenience, enemies to lovers. They truly had a really great love story in the 1st book, and Lou is in hiding from her coven. And the magic system is really interesting in this because in order to do magic, you have to give something, anything. It always demands a sacrifice. And I love consequential magic because obviously nothing comes without a price. So it's very kind of realistic but still magic. So I really love that aspect in Serpent and Dove. And it's explored more in Blood and Honey, which I liked. But the story as a whole in Blood and Honey just wasn't really doing it for me. So we'll see how this ends in Gods and Monsters. Next we have Mrs. Death, Mrs. Death. This is also in my 10 books to read in 2022 list, and all I know about this is a young writer is recruited to tell the story of Death herself. It's kind of like a memoir that she writes, and I know parts of the books are told in verse. The author narrates the audiobooks herself. I'm really excited to read this. I know it's going to explore life and death. It's going to be beautifully written. I just know it. And I just can't wait to read this. If you've read it, let me know. I know Joanna and Brittany from Books with Brittany really love this, so I think I am too. We have Radiance by Grace Draven next, which is a self-pub fantasy romance. Is again in my books to read in 2022 list, which is great because I'm getting through that list in the next 3 months, which is great. Again, don't know much about it, but it's enemies to lovers, marriage of convenience. There is trouble between two kingdoms. I am just really intrigued by this. A lot of people love this. My mom loves this. And also thank you so much to Lamia for gifting me this. Thank you so much, Lamia, for doing that. Spoiler alert for my 2022 goals, but I really want to read more fantasy romance, so I'm glad I was able to get this on the day. We have another one from my 10 books to read in 2022 list, so that's great. So it's The Keeper of Night by Kylie Lee Baker. This is the first book in a YA Asian inspired fantasy series, and we have our main character Ren, who is a half Grim Reaper and half Japanese Shinigami, and she is losing control of her Shinigami powers, so she travels to Japan to work for the goddess of death to try and prove herself so that she can claim her place at death's side. So I really am so excited to read this. Anything to do with like the contemplation of death or the discussion of death and life. It's just really interesting and intriguing to me. So it's going to be really great. Next up is The Last Graduate by Naomi Novik. This one I'm less excited about. Same with Gods and Monsters, really. This is a sequel to the Deadly Education series, the Scholomance series. So with Deadly Education, I had really mixed feelings about it. I really love the world and I like the characters. I didn't love them, but the writing style was just not for me. Like normally if the writing style doesn't really mesh with me, I just give up entirely, but because the world is so interesting and the plot is still also interesting and the writing style is just mainly just a lot of exposition and not a lot of dialogue, and I don't really like that. But again, very mixed feelings, so I was like, you know what, let's just read the sequel. Abby's read this and she said you're gonna pretty much have the same feelings that you had in the first book. So I was like, oh, okay. So I don't know. I want to read this because I pre-ordered this. I'm gonna read it. The Deadly Education is basically about this school where these magical students have to go and there's no teachers. It's just them and the monsters and they have to fight their way out. So the school is kind of built in like a circular building, so as the older you grow it goes all the way down until at the very bottom at the exit is where all the monsters are, and that's your graduation. Your graduation, you just have to like fight your way through those monsters to get out, so it's kind of survival of the fittest. And our main character Elle, she has really dark magic and everyone kind of stays away from her, so obviously she has a lot of angst in her, which is great. So yeah, I'm still intrigued. Ooh, this one says she's reached her final year, so that'll be intriguing. We'll see how I feel about this. I really hope I at least like it and not just straight up DNF it. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Second last book is Beach Read by Emily Henry. Thank you so much, Abby, for gifting this to me. She absolutely loves Beach Read and Emily Henry in general. I wasn't a big fan of People We Meet on Vacation. It was just okay, but I hope Beach Read is better than People We Meet on Vacation. I don't know really what about that book that I didn't really love. I just thought it was okay. So I hope with this it's told much better, the characters are better, so we'll see. I mean, we have these two characters who are both writers, and they go on this writers retreat like by themselves in beach houses, and they both swap genres to get themselves out of their writer's block. And obviously, hello, hate to love, they fall in love, hopefully. Not hopefully, obviously. I'm sorry, Abby, if I don't, but we have other books to bond about. And the last one is Bridge of Souls by Victoria Schwab. This is the, I think, third and final, but if not the third book in the Cassidy Blake series. It's her middle grade horror series, the first one being City of Ghosts. You have Cassidy Blake, who can talk to ghosts after a near-death experience, and she has a best friend that's a ghost. And her parents, ironically, are ghost hunters. So they have been picked up for a TV show program, and they have to travel to different cities and explore the haunted places. So each book is a different city. I think the first one is Edinburgh. The second one, Bridge of Souls, was Paris. And Tunnel of Bones is Paris. Bridge of Souls is in New Orleans. I really love the settings of each one, and I'm really excited for New Orleans because I've always wanted to go there. And I think the second one is my favorite from the series because it's much more spookier. There's very spooky kids. So we'll see how I like this one. I definitely know I'm going to love the setting, so we'll see. It's a break from all these fantasies that I have to read, so it's great. Alright guys, so those are the books for my quarterly TBR, and I think 2022 is going to be a good year. I don't know, I just have a feeling. I might be wrong. You never know. But I feel like it's going to be a good year. So hopefully it'll be a good reading year too, because I feel like 2021, my reading has been very mediocre. Even though I found some new favorites of all time, I felt just mediocre. So hopefully all these books are good ones. If you made it to the end of the video, let's go with the skull emoji for Keeper of Night, because that's the one I'm most excited to read in the coming months. So let's put a skull emoji in the comments. Let me know if you've read any of these books. Let me know what books you're going to read in the next coming months, or you're most excited to read. Let me know. I would love, 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 love to know. Also, let me know in the comments, what is the first book you're going to read in the beginning of the year? Like what's the first book you think you're going to read? You know, if you're a mood reader, you're gonna pick out whatever the fuck you want. But like, what do you think? What are the options for you to, like, the first book you're gonna read? Anyway guys, like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't. All my socials are linked down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!